Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. It's been 10 months since I last posted a video regarding salary and benefits. A few things have changed this year, and in today's video, I'm going to share why it is worth it to do bank shifts and overtime. So in my last video, I said I'm not really keen on doing extra work because we were doing fine. But then somewhere around June, July last year, my workmates encouraged me to pick up more shifts. One reason is because we're really understaffed and people have to man a few things. So that's why I discovered the beauty of doing banks and private lists. So in main theaters, we don't have as much shifts as those who are working in the ward. So basically in the UK, if you work in the ward, you probably will get the same salary as mine, but going to work in a fewer number of days. So you already know that because of the shifts that we have in recovery, I typically work around 4 to 5 days a week. If you work in the wards, usually you work in a longer shift, something like 7:30 a.m. until 8 p.m. So that is almost a 12-hour shift. The working hours in the UK is 37.5 per week. So that means if you do 3 shifts like this, you're good for the week. You only have to do an extra day for the entire month to make up the 37.5-hour week. Am I saying that right? In the NHS payslip, you will see the standard working hours per month is a little over 162 hours because, obviously, the days in a month is not exactly 28 days. So let's go to the more important part. How much beneficial was doing extra work for me? The alternative for those who are working in main theaters, or at least in my trust, is doing what we call a private list. A private list is technically the same procedure, only that the person or the patient is paying for the service, not like those who are under the NHS, who can have the surgery for free, like literally free. So when we are doing private list, we are paid double. So for example, my hourly rate is 13.8 pounds. It will become something like 27 per hour. Later in this video, I will share a payslip to show you how this is computed. And in addition to private lists, we also do bank shifts. There are also bank shifts. So in the UK, when you pick up a bank shift, the hourly rate is based on the highest scale of your current band. For example, I am a band 5 nurse, and unfortunately, I am at the bottom scale of band 5 because I don't have that much nursing experience. So my hourly rate is 13.8, but when I pick up a bank shift, it becomes 16 point something per hour. That becomes my new hourly rate when I'm doing a bank shift. Sometimes bank shifts come with other incentives, like a hot shift. So when you pick up a hot shift, usually you will receive a bonus like 75 pounds. In main theaters, there are 3 types of bonuses, depending on the length of the shift that you are picking up. So we either receive 25 pounds for a half day, 50 pounds for an 8-hour or a 9-hour shift, and 75 pounds for a long day or a 12-hour shift. Going back to the main question, how much beneficial was it for me doing these bank shifts and private lists? So last year, the starting salary for a band 5 nurse was 25,655 per year. But then somewhere around August, there was a pay rise. It was a teeny amount, but a pay rise is a pay rise. So the annual salary for my scale under band 5 became 27,055 pounds. Not much, but I mean, for me, it's still a win. So from 13.12 per hour, it became 13.8 per hour. Hardly noticeable, but thanks to me doing these bank shifts, I've earned more. So if you remember back in my old video, my average net pay without any of these enhancements ranged from 1,500 to 1,800 pounds per month. So that is my net pay. When we were living in the hospital accommodation, the monthly rent gets automatically deducted from the salary. So in my payslip, it shows 1,300 or 1,059 because they've already taken out the 510 monthly rent. What was added to my net pay by doing extra shifts? I did all the calculations just to be more transparent. I also calculated the number of hours that I've been doing for these months. I will show a table, maybe here, all right? Probably I'll just move. I'll show a table, how many hours and how much I have earned for every month last year. Okay, so starting with, well, I have a cheat sheet. So starting from January, when I received my PIN and I became a full-fledged UK registered nurse. So I've been doing 162.95 hour, and of course my salary was 1,500, I think, or 1,800. I couldn't even remember. It's definitely less than 2,000. And then the same amount of hours on February. March, this is when they have given me more on-call shifts. My number of hours became 182.85 because some of these on-calls I got called in, and then there were 34 hours standby on-calls. And all these standby calls, as I've mentioned to you before, they all get paid. Not much. On April, I did 185.85 hours, then 73.75 standby on-call hours. May, oh, it keeps on going up. 191.27 hours, and then 50.17 standby on call. Come June 2021, when I had my first experience doing an extra shift, which was, I think, a private list, my total number of hours was 170.1 and a 24 standby on call hours. If you do a bank shift, it's not going to show on the payslip for that month. It will be paid on the next month. So moving on, July, I did 197.96 hours and then 87 standby on call. So this is when I received my first enhancement. Because my wife said I'm oversharing things, instead of telling you the exact figure, I'm just gonna put in how much was added to my average net pay before. What? How much incentive I got compared to my average income for the first 6 months of 2021. So I had an additional 439.92 pounds by doing one private list alone. So another thing with private list, of course, we still have the 1 hour break, which is unpaid. But if you want to maximize, if you want to earn more, you can shorten your break to instead a half an hour. Let me stop you right there. While we're doing this, can you please click the subscribe button? And if you like this video, click the like button as well. Thanks. So moving on to my little list. The month of August, I did 194.6 hours and then 78 standby, and I've earned 645.53 pounds more than my usual net pay. August was the time when my salary went up. Just a little amount, but still went up. So from 25,655, it became 27,055 per year. And then the following month, September, I think this was my third busiest month. I did a total of 203.25 hours, then 100.33 standby on call, and thus earning me an additional 984.91 pounds for that month alone. October, I did 188.33 hours and then 56.33 standby on call, and I earned 558.18 pounds. November, this was the time when I didn't do any banks. I had a 2-week annual leave, if I'm not mistaken. My total number of working hours was only 204.41, and this is including my annual leave in this, because, well, annual leave is paid, so it's considered like a working hour. Even though I didn't do any banks, I received 832.95 pounds more. This is because, according to my schedule, I did a lot of phone calls. During this time, I only got called twice, but because these shifts were past midnight, I received a few enhancements. That's why, even though I didn't do any banks, I was 832 pounds richer. December 2022 was my busiest month. I mean, look at my schedule, because I did a whopping 246.95 number of hours and then 124.83 standby on call. And so I received 1,425.17 on top of my average net pay. Okay, looking at my schedule, I did a lot of bank shifts, and some of these bank shifts were hot shifts. So if you look at December 6th, I was supposed to be only doing a long day shift, which was 9 to 9, but then there's an additional ROCN, which is a recovery on call night shift. So I believe this is a hot shift. Even though I didn't get called, I received a bonus, which is at least 25 pounds. By the way, if you do get called during an on-call shift, you won't be paid your regular hourly rate, but instead it becomes 110% higher if it's a weekday, 130 if it's a Saturday, and 150 if it's a Sunday. If you want to work smart, you're going to choose the on-call shifts that falls around the weekends. So as you can see here, I wasn't that smart. On December 9, on-call payback. So on-call payback is an enhancement or is a benefit that is given by my trust. When you do an on-call and you do get called in and you worked past midnight and that following day is actually your day off, you get what we call an on-call payback, which is a 5-hour paid, like a day off. So it says here 12 to 5 o'clock. And then if you look here, December 10 and 11, there are special symbols there. So that is a ribbon and a ribbon. So that means that is a hot shift. So I received 50 pounds for each of these days. So continuing on the calendar, December 12th, ROCN, so I didn't get called in. December 13th, I got called in. If you do get called in, and if you're coming back to a regular shift the following day, there should be an 11-hour difference from the time you got home the previous night or the previous shift and the time you come on to the next shift. For example, on December 13, I was on call beginning from 10 o'clock to 8 o'clock. My shift on the 14th starts at 10 a.m. So supposedly, if I arrived home at least 12 midnight, the following day, I don't have to report to work at 10 o'clock, but instead at 11 o'clock, because there should be an 11-hour difference. Although, if I do insist on coming to work at 10 a.m., I get an extra pay. But why would I do that? Kidding. I realized on December 2022, I think I got a message from our theater coordinator or our ESR coordinator telling me that I was doing too many hours. So you can see at the top of this image, I have a negative for 434 hours owed on 8th January. Actually, if I show you all of my schedules, it's all telling you negative owed hours. See, I was doing a lot of hours. They actually owe me hours back, but of course I'm not going to ask that back. Because I did too many hours, I've forgotten at this point that I had a few annual leaves remaining. So they asked me if I wanted to take it on December. So naturally I said yes. So this was around Christmas season. Okay, so yeah, that was my busiest and most profitable month for my entire life. So in my payslip, these bank shifts didn't show in my December payslip, but rather on my January payslip, because that's how it works. Bank shifts are paid on the following month. Private list, on the other hand, are paid on the same month that you did them, although your pay is different. So instead of your regular working hours, it becomes double. I forgot in the payslip, you're not going to see that your hourly rate is doubled, but actually they're going to double the hours. If I did a 10-hour private list in my payslip, it will show as 20 hours. Basically, it's the same as being paid double. So that's what happened. Is it beneficial for me to do bank shifts and extra work? The answer is definitely yes. So some people, especially those who doesn't work in healthcare, they might say, oh, you're a nurse and you're doing fine. That's what you might think. But consider this. For me to have an additional 1,000, how much was it? For me to have an additional 1,400 pounds to my monthly salary, I had to work 246.95 hours, which is 80 more hours. And then on top of that, I was standby for 124.83 hours. Am I going to do a video about the strike? Let me think about it. By the way, if you find this video interesting or helpful, please click the like button and don't forget to subscribe to my channel and watch my other videos. So that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. My daughter is crying and I have to run back. Bye-bye.